Hey, so welcome back to One More Thought. We kind of just want to continue our conversation about honor that we had the other day. Me and Pastor Tom, we kind of walked through what the Bible says about honor and what that looks like, and who we're called to honor. And so today we kind of want to further take that conversation a little deeper and give us some practical ways on how to really honor people in our lives practically in our everyday lives. And so if you missed the episode one, go ahead and go back and watch that one because this will give it'll give you a lot of good context for what we're going to talk about today.
For sure. And we talked about this last week, and that was that if we could learn honor in our society, it would be a game changer for the world we live in.
Yeah.
I believe that anxieties would drop. I believe that peace would rise. I believe, what I mean? I think there's so many things. And honor, it's just a part of honor. It's about respect. It's about,
Yep.
So let's dig a little deeper here, as you just said, and let's go. What are some ways? We talked about all the people we could honor last week, and in that we kind of ended with everyone deserves honor.
Yeah.
Right. Jesus honored everybody.
Right.
In many ways, and so how do we then take these concepts of all these subgroups or categories of people, and how do we truly honor them?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start,
Okay.
and one of the ways that we honor people, probably one of the most overlooked ways, is we honor people through our words, like literally the way we talk. Now I'm gonna give you some practical things I think we all get, right?
Yeah.
Like tone. We understand. We honor people with tone.
For sure.
Like if I've got a question for you, and I go, I don't understand what you're talking about. Okay, that's one tone. But
Yeah.
if I say, I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
What's going on, man?
Yeah.
Right. Completely different tone.
For sure.
Right? Like,
Same type of question, not
same exact words,
Yeah.
right? But different tone.
Yeah.
So I think we honor people with our tone, with our voice inflection. But I want to take that a little bit further, or even our choice of words. We can talk about that too, the choice of words we use.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are incredibly condescending, and they're like, what? And in many ways they're rage baiting,
Yep.
and so that's not honor to do that, to be condescending. So our choice of words, we'll say things on purpose.
For sure.
We'll throw that little
strike a little chord. Yep.
right. So we're all good at that, but that is one of the ways that we dishonor people.
Yeah.
So we honor people in our tone, we honor people in our choices of words. But I want to share two things that we've applied in our life that I think maybe go a little deeper, maybe people haven't thought of. Number one is something we talk a lot about here at Faith. And we choose to talk to people, not about them.
So good.
This is a game changer in our life. And, this is where social media gets in trouble. I mean, social media, people go out there and be so passive aggressive on social media, like, but everybody knows what they're talking about. That's talking about people. We choose to talk to people.
Yeah.
And, if I've got a question, if I've got a frustration, the Bible, Matthew teaches us, right? Matthew 18 teaches us, if we've got an issue, we go to that person. Right? This is a biblical concept, to talk to somebody, and not just in conflict, but I think in everything. If I've got a question, if I've got a misunderstanding, if I've got something that maybe even I don't agree with, I'm going to talk to that person. I don't want to talk about them. I'll talk to them. I think in our world today, we've become too accustomed to talking about people.
For sure.
And never really having the right conversation.
Yeah.
Right. Never having the real conversation. So when people come to me and they're like, hey, have you heard? Most of the time I'm saying, have you talked to that person? That's a conversation you should have with them, not a conversation you should have with me.
Right.
You need to have that conversation with them. Why?
Yeah.
Because we want to honor them with our words by talking to them, not about them.
Yeah.
Now, let me give you another one. Another one is Mandy and I. Mandy taught me this one, and this has been really, really good for us in our life. And that is that if it's not our story to tell, we don't tell it. If it's not our story. So we don't try to tell other people's stories. If it's not our information to give, then we don't give it. Right. I think sometimes in prayer request circles, we get into this one, right?
100%.
Right. Like we start telling other people's stories under the umbrella of prayer, and really we're just gossiping, or something. And so we don't, if it's not our story to tell, we don't tell it. And so in many ways, we want to honor people with maybe the things they've shared with us, with maybe things that they've confided with us in. And we want to honor them by being being true to them, respecting their word, holding confidence.
Mhm.
So we don't tell stories that are not our story to tell.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even gossip. Sometimes it's just excitement, right? Somebody gets a new job or something. You're so excited, like, hey,
Mhm.
did you hear so and so got a new job? Right?
Mhm.
Well, again, that's not our story to tell.
Right.
We want them to be able to say, hey, I got a new job, right?
Mhm.
So we measure that very closely, that we honor people with by not telling their stories, whether it's in a gossip format or even in a celebration format. It's just one of those things where if it's not our story to tell, we don't tell it,
For sure.
right? In fact, I'll take this personally in preaching. I typically don't tell stories without asking people if I can tell them.
Mm.
Now, every once in a while, I will based on the situation. But even for my kids,
Yeah.
I will say there's one story that Levi has when he was a little kid, and I can't wait till he releases me to tell the story. But he
Let's
hasn't
go.
yet,
Yeah.
and so I haven't shared it yet.
Mhm.
I haven't. But the moment he says, "All right, Dad, I've kind of got it. You can tell that
Mhm.
story." Oh man, I'm burning that into a sermon somewhere. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. But he said no. So typically, even from a story standpoint, I don't like to tell stories that I haven't been given permission to tell. So that
Mhm.
I think we honor people through our words. That's one of the ways that we see every day.
For sure, yeah, and I think with that concept of honoring with our words, it's a biblical concept too. Like, and when I think about honoring with our words, I think about the verse that our words have the power to bring life and death, and it is so easy to disrespect someone with your words, right? With or with your tone, or it's so easy to hurt someone with your words. But I think the same goes on the other way. It is so easy to build somebody up with your words and to honor them
Mhm.
with your words and to show them that you respect them with your words. And I think that's just so important when it comes to really showing someone that you value them and
Yeah,
respect them and honor them.
yeah.
So so good.
Yeah, I also love Ephesians chapter 4 when it says in verse 29, I've got it here. It says, don't use foul or abusive language. And I love this part of it. It says, let everything you say be good and helpful so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that portion. We give life, we give encouragement. Our
Hmm.
words matter.
Yeah.
That whole sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Not
Lie.
true. Not true.
That's a lie. Totally false.
Hmm.
Words absolutely
Right.
hurt.
I think I'd rather get hit with a rock than
That's
insulted.
right.
So
That's
yeah,
right. True story, right?
100%.
For sure. For sure. Awesome.
Yeah.
So walk us through what are some other ways that we honor people?
Yeah. I think we can honor people through our listening. And I think one of the biggest signs or tellers that you respect somebody or that you honor them or that you value them is taking the time to listen to the things that they have to say.
Mm,
I think there's not many things that are, and to me personally, more maybe disrespectful or devaluing than when I'm talking to someone and they do not want to listen to me. Early on in our marriage, me and Kylie fought this fight a lot. Not just on my end, but
Did
her
you
end
ask her if
too.
you could tell the story? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
She would love for me to tell the story
Right,
actually
right.
because I'm probably the biggest culprit.
You're the
Yeah, and
yeah.
this is something I had to learn.
Yeah.
And we would have the tendency to, when we are either fighting or even just telling a story, just interject our own thoughts. And what that shows is that you are not focused on what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
You don't value what they're saying enough to actually listen to them, but you value what you want to say more than what they're saying. And so it is so important for you to take time to stop and to pause and to listen to what somebody is saying if you truly honor and respect them. James in chapter 1 tells us to be quick to listen,
Yeah.
slow to speak,
Yeah.
right? We are our first response to someone who we want to recognize is to stop and to value what they're saying and to value the words that they're bringing forth, not value what we have to say or what we have to or what we want to respond with more, but fully hear them out.
Yeah. I love that. It's actually part of what we teach in the line of communication teaching that we do here at Faith. And I think we've got a video on that too that people could go back and watch that in the One More Thoughts on the line of communication. But we talk about listening
Mhm.
and the appropriate way of listening as we teach in the line of communication is to have the posture of empathy and understanding, right?
Mhm.
So when I'm listening to you, I am having the posture of empathy which
Mhm.
is to say, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. I'm trying to see it through your eyes. I'm trying
Yeah.
to put my feet in your shoes.
Mhm.
I'm trying to hear you and understand where you're coming from.
Mhm.
And I think that's the posture of listening. And I think in that, that's how we honor people. It's one thing we teach in marriage communication. Like
Yeah,
that's the posture you need to have.
for sure.
If you don't have that posture, now you're defensive,
Right.
you're justifying, and then it's just
You're trying to get
tension.
your motives across, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So I'm with you right
Mhm.
right away. I
Yeah.
think we honor people with our listening. We honor people with our words, right? So that's
Mhm.
in that the line of communication. Those are so good.
Mhm.
Another way that I feel like we honor people is just through time and presence.
Mhm.
We often say this in the ministry. Uh, Never underestimate the power of being present.
Mhm.
I don't think we understand, and so often, especially in the ministry, we think, well, we got to have the right words.
Yeah,
I've got to have the right verse.
for
I've got,
sure.
you know what I mean.
Mhm.
I've got, and we walk into situations, and sometimes you have no words,
Right. There's nothing that you can say.
you
Yeah.
know. But just being present, I think the power of your presence, the power of just time investment. We talk about the way you build any relationships through time spent. So we honor people with our time. We honor people with our presence. We honor people through sacrificing for our time. It's we all have those people in our lives that if something goes sideways, we know who we're going to call,
Mhm.
right? Every one of us do. Every person in our lives, we have that. Oh man, if my car breaks down on the side of the road,
Mhm.
my first call is
Yeah.
why? Why is that the case? Because most likely they have honored you with their time and presence in the past.
Mhm.
So they are
So good.
trustworthy, right?
Yeah.
They are dependable,
Yeah.
and they're your first call,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think in many ways we honor people through time, through presence. I think our parents and our grandparents out there, and I'm guilty of this. I think we all are because we get so busy in
Mhm.
life. Everyone's so busy nowadays. But I think our parents and grandparents, we talk about honoring your mother and father, right?
Mhm.
I think they would love to be honored with time,
Mhm.
right?
For sure.
Don't have to take them out to dinner. Don't have to spend a bunch of money. You can go over their house, sit down, and watch a show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And as I'm saying this, I'm like, ugh,
Mhm. Yep.
ugh,
All those people flooding in. Yep.
Tom, you got to be better at this,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Same.
If my
Same.
parents are watching this, they're like,
Their names coming to mind
you
right
just
now.
said it
Yeah.
out loud, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, and you think about that's the reality. Just time and
Mhm.
presence and slowing down long enough to be present with somebody. It matters. It matters.
For sure. Yeah, I want to point out, like, because when you say just being with someone, being present, I think a lot of us get that concept confused sometimes. Because I think, and especially in today's world, our phones are like our number one vice. We can go sit somewhere, and the first reaction is pull it out of your pocket and get on it. Being present with somebody is not just being in proximity to them and doing your own thing on your phone or whatever. It's not sitting there with your grandma or somebody, sitting there on your phone, not paying attention to anything else that's going on. Being present with them is being present in what they're doing and what they're saying and the
So
things
good.
that they have going on in their house. It's not just being physically present, but it's being emotionally and mentally and spiritually present for that person.
So good. Boy, that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah,
But it's so good.
for sure.
Yeah, put your phone down.
Yes, and it is so easy to pick up,
Oh,
and it's so
man.
easy to replace that physical presence with the presence that people actually need.
You know what I've learned, and I actually put a shortcut on my home screen, is the do not disturb button is your best friend.
Hmm.
The do not disturb button, because your notifications still come through.
Yeah,
Your emails, so it's not like putting on airplane mode. I used to do
right.
airplane mode.
Yeah,
I put it in airplane mode so I didn't hear anything, but then it blocks everything. The do not disturb button, things still come through. So if you needed to look, you could look at it, but
Mhm.
there's no vibrations, there's no
Yep.
sounds.
Yep.
So put that thing on do not disturb, put it on the table. You can check it later on.
Such a
Right?
great
That's
tip.
my favorite.
100%.
It's been a hack that I've used in the last probably month or so,
For
and I'm like,
sure.
ooh, this is my favorite thing right now. Do not disturb.
Except now, I don't know. I know you're not an Apple guy, but I know with Apple, there's a way to get around that do not disturb, and I hate it so much
Oh,
because people can be like notify anyways. They can make your phone
really?
Yeah, it's so stupid.
That's why I'm
But
Android, right? You see?
so maybe this is a Samsung plug.
Don't
All you out there,
don't open up
go
this
sell
can.
your iPhones. Yeah.
Don't open up that can here, Caleb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I
it's so
won't.
good. But yeah, I think that do not disturb thing is or but what you're saying, be present.
Mhm.
It's so good.
Yeah,
So good.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think another way that we can really begin to honor people is through our service, through not just our time spent
Mhm.
with them, but time spent doing things for them,
Mhm.
going out of your way to help somebody out who needs it, or who even maybe they've helped you out, and so you want to honor them by giving back to them. We see this concept played out throughout Scripture. You talked about in one of your messages in this series, More Like Jesus washing the disciples' feet. Man, what an example or an image or an illustration of Jesus honoring his disciples for the things they're doing, the things that they will do. He put them on that pedestal, so to say, by taking himself off of it,
Yeah.
right, and doing
Yeah.
something for them by washing their feet. We talked a little bit in the part one of this talk about honor about David and Saul, right? How David, though he was anointed king, still honored Saul as king because he was still king. And I went back after we talked about this and looked into that story a little bit more. And in the same chapter that David was anointed king, that Samuel came and picked him and anointed him as king, in that same chapter, David goes and grabs his harp, goes back to Saul, and serves Saul by playing the
Yeah.
harp for Saul in one of his worst moments.
Yeah.
And so, what a cool picture and cool example of honoring through service. David had
Mhm.
every reason to not do that because he was next in line. But the reality is, Saul was still first in line. Saul
Right.
was still holding that position of honor, and David honored him through his service. And so, I think just even if Saul didn't recognize it, just that concept of serving gave Saul honor, right? And,
Mhm.
and any people in our lives, when we go out of our way to do something for somebody, that is placing them on that pedestal of honoring and of respecting them.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Mhm,
That is so good. And what a great story
mhm,
with David and Saul and David. I mean, that story of David being anointed and then his process.
mhm.
It is very challenging,
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Honoring people with service for those marriage counselors out here that are or marriage coaches that are out there and kind of listening to this, they're going to pick up on something that in some of these we're talking about, you're going to find the 5 love languages,
hmm I
right?
was I was actually thinking the same thing. Like, this sounds a lot like love
Yeah.
languages.
You're going
Yeah.
to find it. We talked about words of
Yeah.
affirmation. We talked about words right
Yep.
away.
Yep.
We talked about presence, quality time. You can see that. And now we got acts of service
Yeah.
down the road. We're going to see, gifts and generosity here
hmm
soon and some of those kind of
Yeah.
things, right? You can see the 5 love languages. And I
For
think
sure.
this ties back to what we've been talking about even in the series of More Like Jesus. It is to love people. I love that in Romans where it says, don't just pretend to love people,
hmm
but really love them.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that we love them is honoring. And so as we're walking through these things, we show that honor is also an act of love
Yeah.
and how we honor people. And so
Yeah.
honoring people with your service and serving people, I think I want to remind everybody, and I think this is why Jesus' example of washing the disciples' feet matters for us,
hmm
is that there should never be anything beneath you.
hmm
And what I mean by that is there should never be a task that you're not willing to do
For
for
sure.
somebody.
Yeah.
That if somebody asks you to do something, you go, seriously,
hmm
seriously,
hmm
you can't find anybody else to do that,
Yeah.
right? Which is to say, I'm too good for
Right.
that
My time
task,
is too
right? My
valuable to do
time
that.
is too valuable for that. I
Yeah.
think that story is so good for us because we should walk with the posture of honoring people in the way that no task is beneath us. And,
hmm
and if somebody needs help, so one of the values that we use here, and one of the statements we use here at Faith, which is if we can,
We will.
we should, or
Or
we
should.
will,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
If we can, we should.
Yeah.
If we can, we should. Now there's times when you can't.
Yeah.
Like quite honestly, there's times we can't. And those times we can't, it should hurt our hearts.
Yeah.
There should be an element of
hmm
I wish I could. I just can't.
Yeah.
But if we can, we should. If we
Mhm.
can, we will.
Mhm.
We're gonna if we can.
hmm
And so I think in that, what a great illustration. I'm glad you brought that out because I think in service, it does teach us that there's nothing. If you're a true Christ follower, right? If you want to be my disciple, pick up your cross and follow me, right? If you're a
Mhm.
true Christ follower, there is nothing that should be beneath us
For sure.
for us to do. We should
Yeah.
be willing to do whatever.
Yeah, and on that thought, we may think what we're doing in the moment for somebody is the lowest thing we could do for them on the totem pole. But oftentimes we overlook what that means for that person.
Mhm.
Even going over, like I took some students over, me and Jackie took some students over to a lady in the church's house, and we went and pulled weeds for her, and we mowed her grass. Now that is not a big deal to a lot of us. Like,
Yeah.
I mow my grass weekly. It's just whatever. But what that meant to her and the
Right.
honor that she felt in that moment goes far beyond what we thought what we were doing for that lady. It goes far beyond that. And I
Yes.
think in every moment when we do something like that, it's not about what we're doing. It's about what we're doing for that person, right? And
Yeah.
and the honor that we're
Spiritually,
placing.
not physically,
For
but
sure.
spiritually.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that's such a big way to really honor somebody is through your service.
So much. So that's so good. So good. All right, so let's go into another love language here, right? So we
Yeah.
honor people through our generosity.
Yeah.
And so we would say gifts, for those of you who know the 5 love languages, but our generosity. And this is, again, so true. That you honor people with your generosity.
Mhm.
And again, go back to what we said before, probably all of these, through that idea of if we can, we should.
Mhm.
If we can, we will. This concept that if I can, then why not,
Right.
right? If I can. And so through our generosity, it's one of those things where, and it's not just our generosity. We talked about time and service already, but those matter. Our generosity in our time, our generosity in our service. I think when we're talking about generosity here, it's also the generosity of sharing and giving.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most powerful things, even in one of my Bible studies we have, my Friday squad,
Mhm.
one of the really cool things there in generosity that exists in this group of guys, and if it's not about money, we don't borrow money, give
Yeah.
money, but it is about resources. And so in this, whether it's tools,
Mhm.
whether it's, I remember we're sitting there one day and Phil, about a year ago, probably longer than that ago, he let me borrow some bottle jacks for a project in my house.
Mhm.
And we were sitting there on our Friday Bible study, and I said, "Hey Phil, just so you know, I still have something that you let me borrow a while back.
Mhm.
Because you know how that is. You
Yeah.
borrow something that disappears.
Yeah.
I try to keep. I don't like being that guy, right? I'm
Yeah.
gonna borrow this and then, oh, look what I have,
Yeah.
And and so he's like, well, he couldn't even think of it. So I told him, he's like, oh yeah, I did give you those, and it wasn't a big deal. He didn't need them.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just want you to know, I still have them. I still need them for something, but
Yeah.
so we were kind of laughing through that. But I think generosity is in that. We see that in my Friday squad
Mhm.
Bible study. But as Christ followers, our generosity to give, to share, to honor people in that. When people are down and out, to be able to come alongside them and help them. I mean, Acts 2 teaches us this,
I was
right?
literally
You were going to
just-
go there?
yeah,
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So what, you go ahead and share that. Acts
Yeah,
2
they-
portion.
That is such a good image of this thought. Like, they were sharing with each other. They were making sure that they weren't going without.
Yeah.
They were, whether that was food, finance, home, like housing, whatever that was, they were making sure that they had what they needed.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we get it mixed up with generosity. Sometimes it's just giving a check and handing it over.
Right.
But it goes far beyond giving money or monetary value. It's making sure that the people we love and the people in our circle are not going without.
Yeah.
And so that in Acts 2 really captures that
Yeah.
idea.
And I think this is a great plug, maybe a shameless plug, but a great plug also for groups and serve teams, because it's typically in those smaller groups, those serve teams, those close relationships where you really see this displayed.
Mhm.
You really see this and
Yeah.
here's why, because it's in those that the needs often get shared.
Correct. You can
Right.
find out those personal
In
needs. Yeah.
Sunday morning in the large crowd with hundreds
Yeah.
of people in the room, you're not gonna hear the needs.
For
But
sure.
when you get together on a Wednesday night or Tuesday night or Sunday morning, Sunday school or whatever it may be, for me Friday morning 6 a.m. You know what I mean? You get into a tight group, a group. You learn people.
Mhm.
You get to know them. You get to understand their hurts, their pains, their joys, their gifts. And it's in those moments where you get these Acts 2 type things where needs are shared. And we hear all the time after the fact that so-and-so is going through a situation and here's what the church did.
Mhm.
Okay, the church.
Yeah.
Now, the staff didn't, the
Mhm.
board didn't. It didn't roll up to us on a benevolence form,
Right.
right? But the church, right, in their small group provided for those that are in their group.
Mhm.
And I think that is such a powerful form of honor and love. So again, I think if you're not in a group, you need to be in a
Find
group.
one.
This is where this plays out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is where you get to experience the body of Christ, like Acts 2:42-47 tells us, right?
Yeah.
That portion of scripture, what you were talking about, that's where it's played out, typically in the small groups.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, such a good plug for groups because it's not about getting your needs met, but it's having the opportunity to meet those needs
Yeah.
and to honor our fellow church goers or church followers of Jesus,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
term you
yeah,
want to use, honoring them with our generosity.
Yep.
So it's so good.
So man, we're barreling. We got a few more though,
We
man.
do.
We got some more. Give us
We
another
do.
one here. What's another
Yeah.
way that we honor people?
Yeah. So we can honor people through our obedience. Through our obedience. Now, this is one maybe we think is very surface level, which in essence it is. The reality is we have people in our lives who we report to, whether that be our parents,
Mhm.
whether that be our employers, our bosses, or our government officials, whatever that is. We report to them. And we are called to clearly in Scripture uh, to honor them with how we obey them, with how we submit to their authority, with how we respect their authority, and that's tough for us to do because we do not like to be the person that reports to people. We like to be the person
Right.
who people report to us.
Yeah, right.
And so it's really challenging. It's really challenging for us. But we read through a lot of people that we're called to honor in Scripture in the last part of this. And the Bible is so clear on this concept.
Yeah.
So clear. Now that doesn't mean you obey your boss when they tell you to jump off the cliff. Like that.
Right.
There's limits to
lines.
that, and
Yep,
there's
yep.
conditions for that.
There are.
But the reality is, whether you agree with the policy change they're making at work or not, you're called to follow that change.
Yeah.
Right. Whether you agree with the bedtime your parents gave you when you were a kid, you're called to abide by that bedtime that they gave you. And that is simply, we do that simply to honor them,
Yeah.
to honor their position, to honor the authority that they hold.
Yeah, this is so good, and we could talk about this for days
Mhm.
because it is really hard. I think one of the reasons this becomes so hard for us is because we live in what we would consider an information age. So we feel like from teenagers to adults to wherever generation you find yourself in, we feel like we have all the data.
Yeah.
So we are now informed enough to make decisions for ourselves, right? Like, and we'll often say that when it comes to certain things for the church, we'll say we're not going to make decisions for adults when it comes to snow delays, right?
Yeah.
So we do this at church. If it's a level 3, we close the church. Why? Because it's illegal to be on the roads, right? Level 3 snow in Erie County, we close the church but if it's a level 1 or 2, we're open.
Yeah.
And some people say, but you put people at risk. Like, no, here's the deal. They're old enough to make decisions for themselves.
Right. They take the risk. We don't think about risk.
Right.
Yeah.
But I see the church as essential.
Mhm.
So if people need the church, we're going to be here.
Right.
Now that's Sunday morning. When it comes to Wednesday night, and now we've got teenagers driving,
Mhm.
we may cancel on a level 2
Yeah.
on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Why? Because we're making a decision for people that are maybe a little younger,
Yeah.
maybe a little more bold. They're still invincible,
Yeah.
right? And
Yep.
so for us, we're like, we are going to make that decision for them.
Mhm.
But you see, so
Yeah.
so often we feel like we have all the information to make the decisions for ourselves.
Mhm.
But can I tell you, in leadership, being in leadership, that's not always the case.
Mhm.
And so there are times when our leaders make decisions that we don't fully understand.
Yeah.
And we feel like, well, we have all the data.
Yeah,
So
X,
why
Y,
would
and
you
Z
do this?
equals this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why would you
Mhm.
do this?
Yeah.
Can I tell you, there's probably more data that you don't know.
For sure.
I've said this before. I said it in our last security training that we had a while back. I said, to be real honest with you, you don't want to know the things I know.
Yeah.
And you probably don't want to be responsible for the things I'm responsible for.
Mhm.
That's true for our leaders.
Mhm.
That in all reality, you probably don't want to know the things that I know. And you don't want to be responsible for the things that I'm responsible for.
Mhm.
So what we need as leaders is people to honor the
Mhm.
decisions we make. But we live in Facebook world, right?
Yeah.
So now we can get on there and question
There's a
authority.
million Pastor Toms out there.
Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, we
Mhm.
can question authority all day long
Yeah.
and feel justified in that.
Mhm.
And good leaders are never going to go, okay, you want to act like that? Let me tell you what you don't know.
Yeah.
Here's the now shut up.
Yeah.
Like no good leader is going to do that.
Yeah.
So you just sit there and take it,
Mhm.
right? And it is a painful place for leaders
Mhm.
to just sit there and take those shots, knowing what you know, making the decisions based on the information that you have that you know you can't share
Mhm.
because whatever it may be. Maybe you are protecting individuals, maybe whatever it may be, right? So I think this is one of those that becomes hard because we feel like we have all the data, all the information,
Mhm.
but there are times we don't,
Mhm.
right? There are times when, for us, we just need to honor our leaders
Mhm.
and this word's strong, right? But obey.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
just have to obey.
Mhm.
Right
Yeah.
now, there are going to be times when if those leaders are asking us to do something unscriptural or something like that,
Yeah.
like we know there's lines to that, right?
Right.
There are lines,
Right.
but the lines are scripturally,
Yes.
right? There are
Yes.
scriptural lines.
Mhm.
If they're not scriptural lines, then there are just times when we just need to honor with our obedience.
Yeah.
And boy, is that hard in American culture.
100%. So hard.
So
And I
hard.
love that you say, like, brought up the idea of you don't know what I know.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have all the information that I have to make these decisions. In essence, a lot of us are ignorant to that in a way. And it can be so rewarding for a leader who has people under them who know that and who just fall and not fall in line in a sense, but respect that decision being made. And so again, with all of these things, it's not about what we do for that person, it's about what it does for that person, right? And so if we can learn to honor our leaders or the people in authority in our life with our obedience, man, what it does for that leader, it makes them better. It makes them it opens up their table to do so much more for what they're doing if they're not having to fight these little battles
Yeah.
for people who want to maybe go against the grain or
Right.
who want to rebel just because they don't agree with what's going on necessarily.
100%. You said something that made me think of an illustration. I don't want to share this.
Mhm.
And it goes back to what we said about words. We choose to talk to people, not about them.
Mhm.
If there's ever a situation where a leader makes a decision that you don't understand,
Mhm.
so instead of going on Facebook and questioning authority,
Mhm.
schedule a meeting with that leader.
Yeah.
And people have done this with me.
Mhm.
People have come to me and we'll sit down and they'll ask, I don't understand why. And there will be times when I will go, here's the deal. Uh, I've got to protect confidences here.
Mhm.
So I just need you to trust me.
Mhm.
But this is why we need to do this. Typically in that conversation, what happens is they go, okay, I will trust you. And I think that's why it's important about leaders being trustworthy.
Yeah.
I think there are people here at Faith that can trust me. They understand that I'm not just out, woo,
Mhm.
doing whatever. And I think because of what these honor things, but I think I think our staff does a good job of modeling honor to this, to the people of faith through these things we're talking about. But if we take that concept of talking to people, not about them, and when there's a frustration or struggle, if we schedule a meeting with that leader,
Mhm.
there may be some times when he can, in a private conversation, or he or she can peel back the curtain a little bit more.
Yeah.
But you can't just do it publicly
Right.
because of misunderstanding and you
Yeah.
know how it is in
Yeah.
today's world. So you might be able to peel the curtain back a little bit and you go, oh, okay, I didn't understand that.
Mhm.
And that happened in our security training when I shared about some things that were going on. I peeled the curtain back a little bit.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm like, we're not recording this, right?
Yep.
And Jacqueline turned the cameras off.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so for those in this room, here's some things. I could peel the curtain back a little bit
Yeah.
because it was a safe environment,
Mhm.
smaller group,
Yeah.
something I wouldn't do on a Sunday morning or
Right.
live on Facebook, right?
Mhm.
But if you do that, talk to that person,
Mhm.
have that conversation. It'll build trust.
Yeah.
It'll build respect.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is honoring.
Yep.
Yeah,
For sure.
good.
So
So
good.
good. So
Yeah.
give us another one here. I jumped on that last one of yours.
Yeah, this one I thought was really cool, but we can honor people through our protection. What I mean by that is protecting another person's dignity, and character when maybe they can't do that themselves.
Yeah.
So often we talked about gossip a lot, we find ourselves in these conversations, or people telling stories that aren't theirs to tell, or people talking about people not to them. And we have the opportunity in those moments, if there's misinformation shared about who that person is or what they're doing or how they live their life, to step in and be like, hey, that's not a conversation we need to have.
Yeah.
Right. That's not accurate information. That you should go talk to that person and really get the full scoop. And honoring someone when they're not around and protecting their character when they're not around is so valuable to that person, because the reality is you wish you could be a part of, maybe not, but a lot of people wish they could be a part of every conversation that's about them.
Yeah.
But when you have people who are part of those conversations and who will take care of you in those conversations, that's so big.
Yes. That's gold.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something we should protect one another.
Yeah.
Especially family. I tell my boys, you guys will be brothers. That relationship will be the longest lasting relationship in your life.
Yeah.
You'll be brothers longer than you will be sons.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
You'll be brothers longer than you'll be dads.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be brothers longer than you'll be husbands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the longest lasting relationship in your life. So protect one another.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
The other thing that I shared with our boys right before prom, I said, hey, when you're at prom, I'm going to give you a responsibility. And that is, your primary responsibility is to protect the heart of your date.
Mm.
Right? So the person you're taking to prom, your primary responsibility tonight is to protect their heart. So if something goes sideways, if something gets uncomfortable, if something, and you can see it in you have a responsibility to step in and protect her heart.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it was a conversation I had with my boys. I used to tell my boys all the time, I used to say, hey, listen, you're groats. Right. So here's a couple of things that you got to be as a groat, and I'll say that we will always be kind to people. Right. But we always protect people. Mm-hmm. Right. So there was a handful of things, but protect was the second one I'd share with them. Mm-hmm. I'd say, you have to protect people. You're a groat, man. So you got to protect people. Yeah. I just told them, listen, you're going to be big. Mm-hmm. Like, look at you. We're not little people. Yeah. Groats aren't little. Yeah. Right. You're over 6 foot. You're going to be, you're not going to weigh as much as I do, but hopefully not. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you have to protect people, whether it be physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Mm-hmm. You have to protect people. And so I think we do honor people through our protection. I think it's so powerful.
Yeah. I think another element of honoring people with your protection is not, I think a lot of people, or the confronting type people, will see an issue with somebody and they'll go attack it regardless of the environment around them. Doesn't matter if there's 10 people around, 50 people around, or one person around. They will go and confront that person and correct that person in front of whoever. Yeah. And that's just not at all what Jesus modeled, and not at all what Jesus told us to do. Right? We're not called to go and tear somebody down and correct somebody in front of people. We are called to what? We're called to go and take that person aside privately, keyword privately, to protect their character, to protect maybe what they're going through or what they're experiencing. And so they are not going to experience what may happen if you do that in front of other people, right? And that's so big in protecting someone's character, is not embarrassing them in front of people, not calling them out in front of people, but doing it the right way, the biblical way, the Jesus-like way, taking them aside and saying, hey man, I saw you did this. Maybe that wasn't the best choice. Let me help you walk away from that, or walk through that. Yeah. It's so big.
This is an old school leadership concept. I'm glad you pulled this out. It's just so smart. And this is actually one of the things I learned from, I'm going to go way back here. Ready?
Okay, let's hear it.
Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You never read that book?
Never read it. I need to, though.
Yeah.
It's a thick one. I got a list.
It's a thick one. It's a thick one. One of the things he says in that book is never correct people in public. Never correct. And I that was one of those things that jumped out to me in that book. And I won't. It's, people could say things inaccurately, as long as it's not like gospel inaccurately. Yeah. And even if then I'm trying to spin it. Yeah. here's what's also, I'm trying to be real soft about it, right? And try to bring that back to a gospel correction.
Yeah.
But if somebody says something wrong, somebody says my name wrong, that happens
Mhm.
all the time. I will never correct somebody in public.
Yeah.
And that's why. I didn't think of it until you just said that.
Mhm.
But I'm honoring people by not
Mhm.
protecting them
Yeah.
in some
Yeah.
ways. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. So
Mhm.
so okay, let's we're put in. We've got some time here
We
today.
do.
So if you're with us still, man,
Yeah.
thanks for the long haul. We got a couple
Yes.
more here,
Mhm.
and we'll try to speed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But one of the other ways that we have here that we honor people is through forgiveness and patience. And I think this is again very gospel. It's very loving. It's
Mhm.
very Jesus, how Jesus loves. It's through forgiveness and patience.
Mhm.
We could see this so many ways. I mean, so many areas in just the gospel story, the way Jesus interacts with people, whether it's from things like the one with the issue of blood and the disruption that caused in that moment, just patience with Jesus dealing with the kids and the patience there, and you go to forgiveness, the woman at the well, the act of adultery, all these stories that we see, Zacchaeus, all these stories that we see Jesus operating in this forgiveness and patience world, just has patience. I'm
Yep.
so thankful that God has patience for us,
Mhm.
right?
100%.
And so it's something that God honors us with in some ways. He has forgiveness and patience for us. That is just one of those things that we need to turn over
Yep.
and honor people with forgiveness and patience, understanding that they are human too.
Mhm.
It goes back to the whole, adage: people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Yeah.
It's the concept of what Jesus says: "He who is without sin cast the first stone." Right?
Mhm.
I think sometimes we get so self righteous in our
Mhm.
life that we forget that we're broken too. And so we're really quick to point out the differences in people. So it's
Mhm.
the concept of, the
Speck in the
speck in
eye,
your
the plank in
ear,
yours. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
The Bible talks about you're so worried about the speck in this person's eye, and you didn't see the beam in your
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah.
I think so often we just forget that we've been forgiven too,
Right.
that we're not perfect too.
Yeah.
And so we can become very judgmental. We can
Mhm.
become very self-righteous. And I think the Bible teaches us, and then also here in one of these points, is that we need to give grace.
Mhm.
We need to give forgiveness and patience, and we honor people through that. I mean, that's a way to honor individuals, through forgiveness and patience.
Yeah, and to take this down to like the simplest terms, the last people group that we talked about that we're called to honor is all people.
Yeah, right. All people. That's right.
Because
That's right.
at the end of the day, they bear the image of God, and
That's
God's
right. That's
spirit
right.
lives in them. And so
So good.
if that is the case, the spirit of God living in people, or God's image living in people, and God forgave us for all that He has forgiven us for. At the simplest level, why do we not reciprocate the same thing, right?
For
We are
sure.
called to honor with forgiveness, because that's how we've been honored.
That's right.
We have been honored with forgiveness and with patience, and so we have to do the same thing for other people.
Gosh, could you imagine this in society?
Mm.
Could you
Be
imagine?
crazy.
Could you imagine the
Mhm.
road rage would disappear?
I don't know about that one.
The
That might be a stretch. I am a self-proclaimed road rager. I'm kidding though.
We're all broken, right?
Yeah,
We're all
yeah,
broken.
yeah,
We
yeah.
all need help.
Yep.
But think of, oh man, in society, it's good.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Another one that I love here, we define family here at Faith with two basic statements, which is number one: we hurt when you hurt,
Yep.
and we celebrate when you win.
Mhm.
Celebrating when you win is the hardest one.
Yeah.
We get very jealous.
Yep.
We get very, why not me?
I wish that was me.
Yeah, right,
Mhm.
right. And I think there's a real part of love and honor that
Mhm.
you find in celebrating when people win.
Mhm.
And I think we do honor through celebration. We honor when people win, when God does something in their lives, when God blesses somebody, man, to just go,
Mhm.
that's amazing. And
Yeah.
to celebrate with them is a form of honor. Instead of just like, oh, that's cool. And we go home thinking,
Mhm.
God, I'm here too. Where's mine? I think celebrating when people win is absolutely a form of honor.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a concept that I had to learn when I first moved here. And I remember a conversation I had with you, because I came from an environment in a church that wasn't. I wouldn't say we didn't celebrate people, but we didn't celebrate people as often as we do here.
Mm.
And so when we would be in these meetings and be like, all right, we need to bring these people on stage and do these things to these people and say these things about these people, I was just like, what's the point? Like because it wasn't what I was used to. It wasn't anything I've ever experienced. But through my time here, you've taught me and seeing the response to people who are honored and celebrated, not just on stage, but in a Facebook post or in a conversation. Man, people love to be
Yeah.
celebrated. And I think there is not many ways that you can honor somebody more by celebrating their accomplishments or the things that they've done. Whether they were the best at it or not, just celebrating them it means
Yeah.
so much to people.
Yeah.
And that's something I've had to learn since
Yeah.
being here.
Let me tell you the secret sauce behind that one, right? So we all need heroes to look up to.
Mhm.
And in a gospel environment, our heroes are made by the stories we tell, right? And the people we honor, we celebrate with.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons why we do that is because I think the world is full of tearing people down.
For sure.
And I think the world needs to see more of the good.
Mhm.
And so honoring people through celebrating and helping to tell people tell the story of what God's doing in their life and how many times you hear me say something like, thank you for saying yes.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like here, and why does that matter? Because they heard the voice of God.
Mhm.
It took a step of faith.
Mhm.
And then God met them in that step of faith and did something incredible. Isn't that what we want everybody to do?
Yeah.
So why not tell those stories so that people have a hero to look up to?
Mhm.
And it's not that, go back to our last one, not that people are perfect,
Yeah.
but man, in that situation, they did that right.
Mhm.
And that's something we can all learn from. That's something we can all, and so when we celebrate that, not only does it matter and we honor that person, but now what we're doing is we're telling the next generation, hey, here's some things.
Yeah.
Here's what it looks like
Right.
to find and follow Jesus.
Right.
Right?
And those heroes create inspiration for the next generation.
100%.
And so heroes, everybody, when you're a kid, when you're a little boy, you have your superhero that you want to be like. And so when we create those heroes, it creates inspiration for people who see those heroes to be like, why not me? Like,
Yeah.
why can't I go out
Yeah.
and step out for God like they can? Why can't I hear from God? Like it creates that inspiration to go and take those steps with God and
Yeah.
to work towards something that God is wanting them to work towards.
Yep, that's the healthy why not me.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
That's the healthy one, right? When
Yes.
you said that, I'm like, yep, that's what we want. That's
Yeah.
the why not me?
Mhm.
Why can't I be used by God like that?
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Why can't I make a difference in people's lives like that? Because we
Mhm.
can.
Yeah,
Because God has called every single one of us.
for sure.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. All right. So then we honor people through what we would call purity and faithfulness. Again, this is very similar to some of the things we've talked about before, but I think just in our own lives goes back to what we just talked about of being a model.
Mhm.
Follow my examples. I follow the example of Christ.
Mhm.
From 1 Corinthians 11:1. But just in our faithfulness and our purity, and that is internally, but then that's also what I would say purity of heart toward somebody,
Mm.
right? So go back to what we were talking about with service. I think we honor people when our intentions are pure.
Mm.
We take purity. When my intentions are pure, when my interaction with you is not self-serving.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
When my interaction with you is my intentions are pure here.
Mm.
You can trust my intention. I'm not trying to get ahead
Yeah.
by using.
There's
You're
no
not a
ulterior
stepping
motive to
yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yes, there's not a stepping stone here. And then
Mhm.
our faithfulness of just being faithful to people, I think that's another way that we honor people.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Yeah, let's jump to this last one we
Okay.
got.
Yeah.
And this is a cool one. And we can honor people by bearing God's image in conflict. Right. The reality is we all
Do we want to stop and do a whole nother session on this
we
one?
could. We could.
It's a good one to
I think
end
we could
on.
do a session on all of these.
Listen,
yeah,
I
this
know,
one
but if you
specifically-
stayed till the end, you stayed
Yeah.
for a good one. This
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those of you who stayed till the end, well done. This is a good
Yes,
one. All right,
yeah.
here we go.
Yeah. So the reality is we will always find ourselves in conflict, maybe daily, if not weekly. And in those moments of conflict, when we disagree with somebody or we're mad at somebody or somebody does something, whatever the situation may be, it can be so easy to take what God has put into our hearts or into our spirits or into our bodies and just cast it out and go be a human and go
Yeah.
deal with it the way a human would deal with it. Um, but when we can hold our composure and lean into God in those moments, and whether that person is deserving of honor in that moment or not, honor that person by giving the patience, like we talked
Yeah.
about, by being faithful, by being pure, by doing all of these things that God's character would do for that person.
Yeah.
It honors them in that situation. And I think in a lot of times can be the most difficult one for us to keep what God has put inside of us, and then express it in those moments that are the
Mm,
hardest to express in
mm,
those moments of conflict.
mm. I am often, you've heard me say this, so I do apologize. I know there's a handful of stories I use a lot.
Hmm.
This is one of them. But this is the story that blows my mind. I've read it a million times, it seems like. But the story of Jesus on the cross. And there's no greater conflict
Hmm.
than what's going on here.
Right.
He was falsely accused.
Hmm.
He was arrested. He was put on trial. He
Hmm.
was lied about. He was beaten.
Hmm.
Like there's no conflict that we're going to experience in our life that is even
Comparable,
close to the injustice that Jesus captured in that season, in that time.
Yeah.
And here he's hanging on the cross. And he literally looks out and he says these words, and they blow my mind, which is, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Hmm.
And I'm like, every time I think of that, my heart just melts.
Hmm.
And I go, Lord, help me. Help me be more like you.
Yeah.
Help me in this one here, in the midst of conflict.
Hmm.
Help me have empathy, love, grace. Like that picture of Jesus. I just, I can't wait to get to heaven someday
Hmm.
and just have him narrate that.
Hmm.
Right?
Like, how did you do that?
Oh, like have
yeah.
Jesus walk through, fill in the gaps that we have in
Right.
Scripture, right? To sit down and go, okay, Jesus, narrate for us from the garden to the cross, right? From
We need a movie theater for that.
yeah,
one.
right.
Mhm.
I mean, just to have Jesus tell this story, and I guarantee you in this moment, because you understand who God is, who Jesus is, he'll share that. With empathy and pain in his heart, he'll probably say those words with tears in his eyes. It's just the way I see it, right? I
Yeah.
could be wrong, but
Yeah.
because of God's love for us, and go back all his patience for us, his grace.
Hmm.
For God so loved the world that he gave his son, that Jesus was obedient even to the cross, that while we were still sinners, he died on the cross for us, right?
Right.
When you put all this together, Jesus in the midst of conflict, in the midst of injustice, says mercy,
Hmm.
grace,
Hmm.
compassion, love.
Hmm.
So why can't we honor people by bearing God's image in conflict?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm. Yeah.
this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. In all things, at home, with our spouses, with our children, with our neighbors, with our coworkers, with people that go to different churches than we go to, right? I mean, just pick it. Pick your story, right? Pick your moment of conflict.
Mhm.
The guy who cut in front of you in the Kroger line,
Yeah.
the guy who cut in front of you when you're trying to get out of Cedar Point,
Too real. Too real. Yeah.
the person who shut down or ran out of brisket at Backbeat Barbecue
Mhm.
before you get there, right? When they're
Yeah.
sold out,
Yeah.
like I'm kidding.
You're getting too deep, Tom.
Yeah,
This is way too deep for
getting
this
too
conversation.
close. But think about it. I mean, it's just, oh, Lord, help us all.
Yeah.
Help us all to be more like you. Help us to be more like Jesus, to honor people in all these ways. But kind of like last week, we kind of did this whole honor this person, honor this person, honor this person. But at the end of the day, honor everybody.
Yeah.
This week also ends the same way. Here's ways we honor. We honor by this, we honor by this, we honor by this, we honor by this. But at the end of the day, can we just bear God's image in our life and reflect? You know, the Bible says for those who have the veil removed, we now have the ability to see and reflect the glory of God, right? Can we just reflect the glory of God in our lives and honor people with who God is?
Yeah. And when it is our goal to truly reflect all that he is, these things come naturally, right? When we are letting God's Spirit overtake us and transform us and change us, honor comes naturally through us. Not that we don't have human nature anymore, but we will have those moments where God will be like, here's how you respond in this moment. Hey, I need you to go do this for this person because they need that in their life. Yeah. It will become a second nature to us. And how grateful am I for that? Because I need that. I need that personally, and we need that as the church and as a whole and as people on this earth. We need that type of spirit that will lead us in that way to honor people well, and not just honor people well, but to just truly reflect the way that God feels about us.
Lord, help us all, right?
For sure.
Let's honor those around us and bear God's image. So good.
So good.
Thank you, Caleb.